Naval, Adeo, Scobleizer, Adeo, always late, Scoble, always late, Scoble, always late, Naval, take the stage, stop posting stuff on Angel List, Naval, stop posting on Angel List. You can come sit up here. You can bring your laptop up and keep posting on Angel List, I don't mind. Yeah, I know you have your notes. Okay, we're coming around the home stretch. Thank you so much to the people who are still here. That is just awesome. We're going to do 6 more companies in that rapid fire. Robert, we actually want you on the stage. I know it's crazy. Up there? Yes, get your ass up here, man. Let's hear it for Robert Scoble, everybody. Producing awesome content for the last 10 years about startups. We love Robert. Don't leave me hanging, buddy. Adeo, the Founders Institute, awesome. Love the Founders Institute. Anybody here member of the Founders Institute? Anybody? Oh, good. Some people there. Awesome program. And Mark Pesce, one of my old friends from Web 1.0, who is now on a television show that's sort of like the American Idol of startups and ventures in Australia, which is a top-rated show. What's the name of the show? The New Inventors. And so Mark Pesce, a great thinker, and really happy that he was able to make the trip. Adeo, of course, runs The Funded, which gives you brutal advice on venture capitalists who get savaged on it regularly, which is quite entertaining. We all love it. And of course,
they're all great.
They're all great. All these VCs are just equally great. But a tireless startup supporter who also runs
the Founder Institute.
The Founder Institute. I'm getting tired. The Founder Institute, which is now in 183 cities.
Yeah.
How many cities do you have this in now?
It's mobile social CRM, man.
Mobile, no. I think Scoble
I
has
heard
to
a lot
do
of
3 shots.
buzzwords today. There's some great companies out there. We're in 17 cities.
17 cities, and the thing's only 2 years old.
20 months.
20 months. Wow. That is the largest accelerator program. Jose. Great designer who's worked on sites such as Savings, This Next, the Launch site. What else? A bunch of other sites. And you were
Stockbrokers.
Stockbrokers you worked
Don
on.
Dodge, best logo of the conference, apparently.
Very nice. And you, of course, created
MySpace redesign recently.
Yes, and you were in Web 1.0 part of Razorfish in the early days. Marshall Kirkpatrick, one of the most respected journalists in the space. Thank you for joining us from Read Write Web. And thank you for covering all these great companies on Read Write Web. You are the lead publication of the conference. Well done. And VentureBeat right behind you with awesome coverage. Naval, we all know from Angel List, has changed forever. Startup funding. Huge round of applause for Naval and his tireless support. Brian Alvey, a longtime collaborator of mine and friend from high school, brilliant developer and programmer. We did Weblogs Inc. together, and now he's doing CrowdFusion, which is the ultimate CMS platform that powers the Daily. You may have heard of it, the big iPad app by Rupert Murdoch, and also powers TMZ. Thank you for coming to the program as well. Round of applause for Brian Alvey.
Great event.
Okay, let's just do this. We've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 companies, and we get 3 minutes each, and then we'll do a round table about all the companies. Let's bring out, all the way from London, England, TripBod. TripBod, are you here? I love this company.
Hi. Are we good to go?
You are good to go.
Fantastic. Thank you. Hi, everybody. I'm Sally. This is my business partner, Liz, and we're the co-founders of TripBod.com. So I'm sure we can all remember a time when we were traveling and we had an amazing experience thanks to just a chance encounter with a wonderful local person. This is what we want to make happen every time you travel. With TripBod.com, we connect you online with a hand-picked, trusted local expert in the place that you want to visit to help you plan your trip. Because we all know that the best advice for our trip is going to come from the people on the inside. So the kind of travelers who love TripBod, they're people like you. They are discerning, independent travelers who are kind of uninspired by the off-the-shelf products that are available. And to be honest, who has the time to spend hours trawling the net to find really good, relevant local information? Well, that's where TripBod comes in. We cut through that. We connect you directly to the people on the ground in the know. So this is TripBod 1.0. And we've been doing this for just over a year. We have 300 vetted TripBods in 80 countries worldwide, and we've had several hundred people pay to use our pre-trip planning service. And they've told us things like, TripBod completely revolutionized my trip. I could never have had this Bollywood dancing in Mumbai experience if it wasn't for my local TripBod there, which is really cool. But the thing that really excites us is that we've realized the opportunity that presents itself here is a whole lot bigger. Because the magic of travel is about the experiences that you have when you're in that destination. It's the stuff like learning to cook paella with your TripBod in Barcelona to her grandmother's 100-year-old recipe, right? That's what travel's about. That is the magic of experiencing a local place through the eyes of a local. And we want to empower TripBods to actually start creating those local experiential products. So what I want to do right now is unveil for the very first time TripBod 2.0, the local travel marketplace. We have, this is the very first time that we're showing these designs. It's something that we're working on right now for launch within the next 10 to 12 weeks. And what we're doing is we're building a completely unique and authentic inventory of local travel experiences that before now have never been actually available online. So it's kind of exciting, not least because of the scale opportunity here. These products are absolutely perfect, high-margin, bolt-on products for the more generic travel stuff, the flights, insurance, accommodation, that sort of thing. So thank you so much for listening. It's been great to be here at launch. That's TripBod.com.
Awesome. Okay, what do we think of Airbnb for your local buddy on the street to make your trip complete? Naval, what do you think? You're smiling ear to ear.
So the problem is I see tons of these kinds of companies, and the thing I would encourage you to think about is that most people actually don't travel. And of the set who do travel, they don't travel frequently. And of the set who travel frequently, they're traveling for business. And of the set who are traveling frequently and not for business, they're young single people who are broke and they don't like to spend money. So all of these sort of young people travel aggregation plays where they want to go and meet new people and have fun end up running into this wall where they can't scale beyond a certain number of users and they can't make any money. So I would try and encourage you to think about something more mainstream or a more mainstream variation on what you're doing. Because, for example, TripAdvisor, where they make most of their money is on hotel recommendations for like families and people who are looking for a cheap budget place in their trip to Wisconsin to visit their parents. It's not really, you know, young single backpackers looking for that cool new hostel or something like that. So
I would definitely agree about the young travelers. So we actually had a website before this one called Your Safe Planet that was actually directed at younger gap year travelers. And it was great to test this kind of what young people will actually pay for, which on the whole, you're completely right, is nothing. So when we launched TripBod.com, we actually were aiming much more towards the older independent travelers, people who maybe are traveling as a family, but on the whole, it's people who maybe are going on their honeymoon and they want to book their own independent experience, but they just need that gem, that nugget of local advice. And it infuriates them when they're searching for hours for a bit of advice and they can't find the answer. And then they find us, they ask the question, they get an immediate answer, and they're just delighted. So I do completely agree, and we need to be quite focal. We're actually going to rebrand on this new platform to make sure that we are focused very much towards the slightly older and independent traveler. But thank you, I value that advice.
Can I just, so if you list a service or an authentic experience, do you sell it and then do you take a cut on that sell?
Yeah.
Or
so
sell,
marketplace model, empowering local people to commercialize their knowledge as sellers and people as buyers to find them and connect. We would probably have an escrow style system. This is what we're developing at the moment, whereby the cash comes into a central system, and on the delivery of the service, which is part of the trusted USP, the money would then be released to the local seller. So
and you take a cut?
Yeah, we would take a 10% commission.
So one other question related to that, I got like paella cooking and these other examples. I thought your enthusiasm was great, by the way.
Thank you.
So what might be some other things? So it's cooking, the Bollywood dancing. Could it be a tour guide, or are there professionals that are already doing stuff that list services? Or
so at the moment of our TripBod network, 50% are travel-related people. These might be the owners of really cool, authentic local tour operators or travel guides who can give you, it's always about this one-to-one personal connection and very much personalized. So it might be cool. I love this idea that Elena is going to show me around Rome, but show me all the hidden side guides of the kind of more touristy places, but it's one-to-one. And maybe actually I like the look of this, but I want to personalize it a bit. So I'm going to connect with her directly and say, I love this bit, but can we chop this bit and can we do this instead? Then there are the other half, and these might be at present, they're completely unrelated to travel. These might be full-time mums, and they can help a mum with a stroller who wants to come to New York, for example, to work out how to get around on public transport, where the safe places are to play. We also have people who maybe are adventure junkies. So, cool, give me some advice on where to go mountain biking in the Sierra Nevada in Spain, but I don't just want you to tell me, I want you to show me the places that you love, or the best live music places, or let's do like a pub crawl in London of the real places where the locals hang out, but go for a Sunday lunch with a local.
What would that cost? I know when I go to Australia, going out with Mark and seeing the town is always like a highlight. Luckily, I don't have to pay him. I just have to pick up the tab, which I was going to do anyway. But
cool.
What would it cost if I wanted to go bar hopping with somebody in Barcelona for the evening?
So we're going to let the TripBods price their own products, but we will give them advice and benchmarks. So we're going to average out our products at around £40. That would be like $60. But that might go quite significantly more depending on the length of the experience and the depth of it. It might be a lot less if it's just literally meet me for a cup of tea and a scone when you get to London. So it's going to be very much localized based on if you're in Mumbai, probably cost quite a lot less than if you're in Moscow, for example.
What sorts of steps do you take to ensure high-quality human interaction at a low cost?
Okay, so this is like vetting, right? Do you mean?
Yeah,
so
vetting.
we've developed our unique vetting system over the last 2.5 years, and 97% of that now is automated, and we've sort of authenticated this critical mass, this core of TripBods. What we want to do when we scale is actually allow the community to self-regulate. We've got various mechanisms of doing that. One really cool way is that through some of our strategic partners, we get databases of people who you already know are pretty cool. Like our chairman is the founder of Rough Guides, the guidebooks. So they have lists of thousands of freelancers and contributors worldwide who are knowledgeable, trusted, they have good references. So they can become TripBods pretty quickly with their sort of Rough Guide seal of approval. So that's a really good way to scale. But I think if we start off with this critical mass of really good, trusted TripBods and really excellent, really top quality product inventory, then as we scale from there, we can use normal community feedback mechanisms to ensure that as we do scale, we have that benchmark.
Final question or comment?
Yeah, I just did a search for Paris, France, because I'm going there in December, and I only found one person who's doing these kinds of things. This is the chicken and egg problem. How are you going to get more guides, even for a place popular like Paris?
Yeah.
You know, I doubt you have somebody in Half Moon Bay doing these kinds of guides yet. So how are you going to get the numbers of people that you're going to need to attract a big audience?
Yeah, you're right about the chicken and egg. We deliberately stopped at the number we did. Sorry, I'm getting some feedback. So that we could trial the service and test the minimum viable product with, the core TripBod network that we had. Now we are all guns blazing on growing that network through strategic partners, and to half of our team is focused on the platform development and half of us just on developing our seller network and through various other trusted networks who we have already connected with. So that is very much our focus. I don't think we want to have necessarily tens of thousands of TripBods at launch. We want to have a good number with a good number of products, because if all the products sell out, it's a good problem to have, and then we can scale in chunks.
You may want to consider doing it one city at a time or 3 cities at a time to have critical mass. Jose?
I was going to say that, actually. I was going to ask you
The
about
Yelp model.
about the name. I was going to ask you about the name. Can you explain a little bit what it means?
The name?
Yeah.
So bod is a colloquial word for a person. So if you're a local bod, you're a local person. We wanted a .com. We wanted it just a quick 2-syllable TripBod, something with trip in it, ideally. TripBod.com was available, and it's got quite a nice brand reputation now in the European online travel market.
I would fine-tune the identity system a little bit, not to have the separation between trip and bod. In Southern California and LA, bod means something very specifically, so hot bod,
Yeah. Maybe buddy, trip buddy, trip bud.
Yeah, I like trip bud.
Let's hear it for TripBod.
Thank you so much.
Well
Thanks,
done, well
everybody.
done.
Thank you.
So great to have such an international event. Actually, one of my good friends who I met in Barcelona is up next. Fluid Info will come up, and Fluid Info. Terry, here's Terry. How are you doing? Somebody who has, we've gone out all through Barcelona, actually, and had a good time. Please welcome Fluid Info. Terry Jones. Yeah.
Thanks very much. I want to start by showing you a tweet by a smart guy called Novus Bivac, who wrote, "Wouldn't it be cool if we could put metadata onto any tweet If anyone could add metadata to any tweet, that would be a new kind of net. So let's take that idea and generalize it a little bit. Imagine if people could put metadata onto anything, any single object or anything. You could add anything you want to it, you can search on it, and so on. If you do that, and you add permissions, and you add a query language, and so on, you've got fluid info. So Novo is basically imagining a world of objects that look like this, where they have tags on them, they have values, and the objects don't have owners. So anyone can add to the objects. And this is a visualization of an object inside of fluid info. If you look carefully, you can see that the tag names have got domains in them. That's what we announced today. You can put domain names onto data. So you see Amazon.com/price on that object with a value of 19. You know you can trust it. You can see Tim's reading this book and he's up to page 224. I've put a rating on it. I've indicated that I own it and so on. There's a whole bunch of metadata there. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to show you what this would look like to users, where users can put metadata onto things. And then I'm going to show you under the covers at what fluid info really looks like and what the data looks like. Let me go to a browser, if I can find one. Here we go. I had a window.
No problem.
It looks like there's a window off to the side.
Maybe, no, that's something else.
Take your time.
Here we go. So I'm going to show you a couple of a little example app. Suppose you wanted to indicate that you've met a Twitter user. That's a bit of metadata. You can't put it into Twitter. You can put it into fluid info. Here's another example. Imagine you're looking at an O'Reilly book on the O'Reilly website, and you want to say that you own it. Or you want to say something else about the book that O'Reilly didn't think about it. I've got a button right here that I can push, and if I push that button, it's going to put a piece of data into fluid info saying, hey, Terry owns that book. It's like a piece of metadata. And now I'm going to show you what this looks like under the hood. This is extremely geeky, but I want you to see the data because it's very important. This thing here, just ignore the stuff that's on the left for now. This is an object inside of fluid info. It looks like that picture I showed you where there's a whole bunch of tags and values hanging off that thing. This is a book. This is the book we were just looking at on the O'Reilly page. It's got a bunch of Amazon tags on it with values. It's got some books.google.com stuff. It's got stuff from Goodreads, from Library Thing. It's got a whole bunch of tags from O'Reilly with all of their information. It's completely marked up. And at the very bottom, you can see that there's a Terry Cojones tag on it as well. So I've tagged that object. I'm going to show you a few more objects in fluid info. Quickly, really quickly. There's the actual object for Nova's tweet. That's what Nova was saying. Imagine if we could tag up his tweet. It's got tags all over it. Here's the object for, well, that was Nova's tweet. I'll do the next one. This is Jason Calacanis' email address. It's a writable object. I put a tag onto it saying I've met this guy. And here's the final object. This is a read-write-web article. We just made an API for read-write-web. All their articles are in fluid info, and it's a fully writable API. Anyone can go in and they can tag them up and they can do all sorts of stuff. Thank you.
Mark Pesce, you're jumping out of your seat.
So, Terry, there's certain objects, for example, the Bible, that are going to get very, 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 very big.
Yeah.
How do you handle that?
Well, actually, we already have the Bible in fluid info. It has 31,103.
Yeah, but a billion Christians haven't started tagging it yet, right?
Yeah. You handle it by scaling and by doing databases and by distributing storage and so on. These things are quite well understood now. There's a lot of... Scaling is not the problem right now. Adoption's the problem. Apps are the problem.
Yeah, but we live in an instant scale. I was talking to Dave Morin, and we live in an instant scale world.
Yeah, yeah.
And we live in a world post-Twitter and post-Facebook. How can we build something like a Facebook in here or a Twitter?
Yeah, you can build.
And can it scale? Can it stand up to the kinds of loads that it would see if it's really cool?
I think that you can because most tags, like for example, if you were saying Robert rating and you're putting it onto objects, most tags are rare. Well, maybe not in your case, but a lot of tags are rare, and a lot of queries can be very quick because you don't have a lot of instances. You know, for example, there's only 2,500 O'Reilly books. There's only 3,000 NASDAQ stocks. Most things are actually pretty small. And you can separate that storage.
I'm not so... Can we take a step back?
Yep. Yeah.
What does it do? I get the tagging of stuff.
Yeah.
I get that I can tag stuff and put metadata. Great.
What it does is it makes the world writable. Because we're all living in a digital world that's read-only.
It's a new database.
Yeah, I mean, I give Terry credit for coming up here because this is a fundamental piece of technology. It's not really a single application. And I think it's as fundamental as HTTP or HTML, which was basically a URI and data. And here you're talking about a URI and metadata. So I think that's incredibly fundamental. But part of what made the web work originally was that it was open sourced. Essentially, and it was human readable and writable. So the average person or the average geek at least could set up a server and create a web page with very little effort. And I think you need to, and I would love to understand how you intend to open it up so much that I can go home tonight and set up a Fluid Info DB, and I can start writing into it, and I can connect to the other Fluid Info DBs, maybe help you with the scaling problem, and then maybe Robert can come along, and even though he doesn't code heavily, he can look in there and make a few tweaks. So I think you have to think in the Tim Berners-Lee sense.
So there's only one Fluid Info DB, right?
That's right.
So there aren't there's not one you can download. So So we've. I know Nova, and what he was doing with Twine was, and I think there's some parallels in here to Freebase, and this is fascinating to me. But what he was doing with Twine was sort of this big data cloud in the sky of all the stuff with APIs, right? That now lives on at Every. And what we do with CrowdFusion is sort of data islands, and sort of a, I think of this even Mahalo is sort of boiling the ocean, and I think that conquering verticals is boiling lakes, still really freaking hard. But when it's an island or a lake, it's maybe more manageable. And so I just wonder about that. You're going to take every data set, and we saw this with Junar. You take every data set on Earth, and you're going to suck it into your one big data cloud. And I've seen you before, and I think it's advanced a lot. I don't know where exactly it's going to go, but I think there's something big, and there's something sort of badass about a giant data cloud, but I think there's something also unmanageable about a Google of all data, or a giant data cloud like that.
But it's easier to do a Google of metadata than it is to do a Google of the data, because the metadata is tiny. I mean, if you're putting ratings onto things or comments, or that you know people and so on, you can store billions and billions of those things in a regular old Postgres database without any problem.
But do you plan to prime that pump so that when I go there, the Bible's in there, all of Amazon's in there, every gadget?
We're priming the pump already. We made an API for Marshall the other night. We did the Bible, we imported it in about an hour.
So you showed a great query on that. Once you have all the stuff in there, show me
So we did a query where we said, let's see the companies that have been written about by Boing Boing, because we made them an API, also written about by Read Write Web, and which are in the Union Square Ventures portfolio. And we made APIs for all of those things. And you do a query, and it turns out there's 4 companies that have been written by those 2 sites. And that's the power you get from putting data in the same place. You can just query across it.
This is why, when I visited you in Barcelona, this is why it took me a while to really think through what it would be used for. Because it's, I'm watching Twitter right now, and you start thinking about how you would combine it with other metadata APIs. It's really interesting.
And the thing we did that we announced today is that you can put domain names onto data. Because we use domain names to convey trust and reputation information with web pages and with email messages. You look at a web page and you see a product and you see Amazon.com in the URL and you know you can trust the product. Why can't you put domain names onto data? Why can't you see?
I guess the thing, it would be a lot easier to understand what you're doing if you had a more focused market approach like books or tech blogs or whatever. Or tweets for that matter, and then maybe a consumer-facing front end, right? So something that is here is how the average consumer can see metadata on tweets.
We're lacking on the user interface side, but on the first part of your comment, I completely disagree, because what happens is that you get companies that you have a company like Twitter and they do interesting things, and then everyone says, let's generalize it a little bit, let's put annotations on tweets. And at that point in the thinking, it's too late. What you need is, you should change the storage architecture so you can put annotations on everything with permissions, with a query language, and so on. And don't tack it on afterwards to something that turned out to be interesting. Build it in at the bottom, and then you can build a bunch of interesting things. That's why we're not doing user interface, because we're saying, hey, there's a more general thing that you can solve here. And then people can do anything.
What's really interesting is, it seems like everybody who meets with you 5 times... If people meet with you 5 times, somewhere around the 4th or 5th time, they start to realize, wow, this is brilliant. This whole other database layer can do everything. But then everybody's still left with the same takeaway, which is, what is the one thing that you can get started with first that will prove that this will work? And it actually feels like metadata on tweets. If somebody would make a toolbar that allowed you to authenticate with Twitter and then use Fluid to be the repository of all that stuff, then you would have the spam problem worked out because you knew who sent the data in. You used the cloud API to make sure that you have to have a cloud over a certain amount for the to have it work, and then you've got that layer created. But how come you can't get somebody to create that one thing yet? Is it just too far ahead?
You never read business plans, but you write them.
Sorry? Yes.
Yeah.
We're almost there, sorry.
I mean, out in the demo hall, there were 3 companies that were doing restaurant review sites, basically food spotting kinds of things and Yelp kinds of things. Could you use this tool to join those 3
yes,
together?
Yes, you could, yeah. There's a lot of duplication in data and effort. You can allow companies that are doing similar things or overlapping things to put tags onto objects and to share them with each other, or to license them to each other, or to sell them to each other. There's a lot of...
Actually, let's get a final comment in here. Marshall, give us your final take on it.
With all due respect, I've heard criticism of a couple of startups here over the last few days saying that's too broad, and I worry that if WordPress or Blogger were to launch today, people would say, what do you mean I can write about anything? You're going to need to give me specific things I can write about in order for it to work. And that's a bummer. I tell you, I asked Terry a couple of days ago, I said, hey, could you grab me a list of all the companies that ReadWriteWeb has written about 3 or more times, because I want to go and grab their RSS feeds and make sure that they're in our team feed reader. And he said, yeah, that would be trivial.
Yeah, we did it, and I know how many sites there are on the web that have been written about by ReadWriteWeb more than 100 times, and he doesn't know. And I know which ones they are, because I built him an API in one night.
This needs a really cool visual explanation of the idea.
I think
context.
One final thing to think about is the web didn't have an application. What it had was a web browser, which was a viewer, and a web server, which was a writer. So maybe you need a really dynamic graphical viewer and a simple creation tool. And I don't think it's a simple app.
Absolutely.
Okay, final comment. And this I love about the companies from the LaunchPad seem to bring out the most debate. Ryan, give us the final word.
Okay, so somebody mentioned Tim Berners-Lee. Tim Berners-Lee has been talking about this kind of thing for a very long time, about a decade. It's called the semantic web. It's already actually out there. It's inline. It's metadata in the code. It's actually a lot of different things. I mean, can you explain how you are different or better or competitive or overlapping with semantic web? And because that is like really where I think this stuff is going.
Yeah, I hate the semantic web. I think I like evolution over ontology. The open link data stuff is great, but I want writable data. I want to be able to change things. RDF is fine if you control all your data. You just can't let anyone just dump in data. You need a permission system, you need users and so on. And all that stuff is too complicated. Humans understand things like post-it notes. Everyone understands post-it notes. It's distributed asynchronous storage architecture with a beautiful user interface. Why can't computer storage be as simple as post-it notes? Why can't I walk up to any object like this guy or his email address and put a tag on it and make it that simple? All that semantic web stuff is way too complicated.
Let's hear it for Fluid Info. Awesome, well done. All right, let's bring out e-event. Naval, how do you look at the world while we're getting e-event set up in terms of, you know, the Dave McClure, like, this has to be, you know, boiling a puddle, and then the sort of like grand architecture of the web when you're deciding to post something on AngelList?
Yeah, because of the way AngelList is set up, it's much easier to post something like, you know, an Instagram or like something very focused and simple. But I have to tell you, as an investor, as a human, as a user of the web, I crave more things like what Terry is doing, because those are things that truly change the world. So when I see them, if I can somehow get a hint that this person is brilliant, even if they're crazy, I'll put it out.
Awesome. Let's hear it for the crazy people. E-event, welcome to the stage.
All right. Hello, everyone. My name is Eddie Sulistio, and let me introduce my co-founder, Andy and Larry. Before we begin, let me ask you a few exciting questions. Who got here because they heard about this event from someone? Raise your hand. Great. Now, who got here and brought at least one person to come along with you? Raise your hand. Awesome. Now, give a round of applause if you want to be rewarded with VIP access with a grand jury or judge or anyone, or with Jason. Give a round of applause. You know, that's exactly what e-event does. We, e-event, combine the social element, the fun game mechanics, and geolocation to reward your true influencer of your events, your top ambassador, with something that money cannot buy. And it's very easy to use e-event. Here's how. First, you need to create your event. Just type the event name, the venue location, and the date. And that's it. Let the game begin. People love to go to events with their friends, and people love to go to events recommended by their friends. And as soon as people register, they want to bring along their friends to come to the events. And when you register and the more people you bring to the event, the higher your rank on the leaderboard. Let's take a look on the example on the screen. Jose is the top ambassador of this event on the leaderboard. If the second position, which is Brian, took over his spot, Jose will notify immediately that Brian is taking over his spot. And of course, Jose will not just stand still. He will fight back to reclaim his top spot. And e-event, we're not only just giving a reward with the status, but we also give them with badges and point system for any activities, positive engagement on the events. We use mobile check-in to encourage attendance and discourage no-shows with points and stuff. So that's what e-event is all about. We are solving #1 problem that event planner has that many have tried but failed. Now, here's Andy to talk about the current status of e-event.
Yeah, thank you, Eddie. Well, we released e-event last month, and we had over 350 organized events in the US as well as in the other countries. Let me take you to 15,000 miles away journey to Indonesia. It is the 4th most populous country, and compared to the US, internet access is very limited in there. We tried e-event, and we had over 90% success rate of getting the event sold out. Every single event organized in the past months in Indonesia sold out. We had to implement actually the waiting list feature to accommodate the demand. So it's a $500 billion industry, and we would like to capture and scale. Appreciate your support. Thank you very much.
Okay, game dynamics, leaderboards for event and event promotion. Jose, go.
And great presentation, guys. Really appreciate it. Best use of gamification, social and location based. That's non-douchey.
Awesome.
It's a great problem.
We have an award for that.
Featured.
No, it was okay.
So there's your primary customer right there.
Yeah, exactly.
Would you use it, Jason?
Well, I mean, it's interesting. We had an ambassador. Thank you for the wine. We had an ambassador program. We tried to really get off the ground for this event, and the goal of it was to find networked people, give them a free ticket in exchange for helping network the event in other cities around the world to sort of, we want to get diversity at the event. We couldn't get it off the ground.
It seems like, but this is actually going to work, I think, much better for dance parties than it is for high-end tech conferences, and it's going to work really well, I think, for dance parties.
Yeah.
Churches, this would be huge for churches, actually.
Yeah. But I don't know, I think there's people who love the idea of being the ambassador for the launch conference in their country or city and getting a free ticket in exchange, or maybe going to the VIP party in exchange for helping promote the event. And if it was just something as getting an email sign up, or they don't even have to buy a ticket, because we have...
So, Involver had this feature. Involver was a competitor originally in a past life to Socializer and Evite and so on.
Yeah.
And the whole concept there was top Involver, who would pull in the most people. And it got tired pretty fast, because in those cases, people got tired of spamming their friends. Their friends said, stop spamming me. So there's a fine line here, especially because you're hitting up the same people over and over.
Yeah. Well, may I answer? To implement the gaming elements to any event planning software is not that hard. Everyone knows this. But to implement it right, that's the hardest part. Right? I mean, we have to have a good... The intention has to be right. We can't just plug in points, reward, just left and right. People won't like that. And plus, a lot of other companies have tried, but they don't have the right business model either. We have made money since day one.
Yeah, can you sell this on a pure ROI basis? Can you just say, what is your cost of acquisition for a new subscriber? What's your NPV? And we're going to just come in below that?
Say that again, I'm sorry.
Can you sell it on a per subscriber basis? Can you go to Jason and say, well, Jason loses money in his conferences, but...
We broke even.
We broke even. He's not, but can you go to somebody else who's maybe charging $3,000 an event attendee? They have a cost of acquisition, if they can pay below a certain amount, say $200, it makes them money. And can you say, well, we'll bring in people for $50 a piece and pocket the difference and then just prove your model out?
Well, I think that's possible, but we found that money really doesn't buy friendship and recommendation, and we are very leery in incentivizing people with money. If it is big amount of money, maybe...
You should be an angel investor. Money can buy you friends.
yes, but not 25 cents. Not 50 cents. I don't think your friend worth 50 cents.
So can I ask, what is your model? Do you charge the event organizer per ticket, or do you charge them one-time fee for the whole event?
We charge per ticket base. So
do you do the sales? So do you integrate with like an Eventbrite, or do you have the sales as well?
Well, for now we are quite flexible. We do not have to integrate with Eventbrite because we have the chain payment system ourselves. You could charge Visa, MasterCard, anything.
So you do the whole event, ticket sales, and the social
Right.
side.
I mean, that comes
wasn't
standard.
100% clear.
Yeah.
It's interesting. So I run events, and it is interesting. You have people who influence, but a lot of times it's not easy to identify them.
Yeah.
So and I'm not sure that and I'm not even sure in some cases they want to be identified. They're happy to help out because you did well by them or they had a good time.
Right.
I do think some people will enjoy it, but I'm not sure that I was your #1 dude that helped bring all these people. Give me 5. I'm like, okay.
Well, that's not the case though. Who are here in LinkedIn? Anybody? Raise your hand, please. Right? And who doesn't want to be identified as the top influencers of the week? Because you participate in the discussion board.
I think we might be missing the point, and I don't know if you understood his actual comment about the revenue portion. But low friction, meaning that if it's actually gamification in a sense, like Farmville, where I do see that I have, oh, hey, that's interesting that I got that. It isn't really calling it out. I don't think the leaderboards are that aggressive. You can't do it the way that, you're right. People don't want to necessarily know. But the dynamics of that happen for this event very specifically. They happen organically. How can they happen organically and I said it in my initial and I won't repeat it, it's a UI issue or how it manifests itself. It has to be right. It has to be smooth as butter.
Final comment, Robert Scoble.
Also, I'm already getting these kinds of signals from Plancast, right? Plancast, you can go to Jason's Plancast page and see how many followers he has. Then you can compare it to how many Marshall has or how many I have. And you can see who is influential. Are you able to hook your system in with like a Plancast or with a Facebook events? Because that's where I find all my events.
Absolutely, we have open API, so we can be integrated with anyone.
But how will you give Jason the credit for bringing an event into my view on a system like Plancast?
Well, because the database is still on our system, we centralize the database, so the API is more like a widget that you can implement it to your site, but it's still, we manage the whole user and everything.
All right, let's hear it for eVent.
Thank you.
Well done. Let's bring out Echo. Lanyard was another company I think that was here. They weren't in the demo pit, but what an awesome startup that is as well. They're part of Y Combinator, and I've been using them a whole bunch. Echo, are you there? Echo.
We are.
Okay.
My name's, Jason, sorry, are you going to introduce? No.
Nope, go ahead.
My name's Nick. I'm with Echo, and we do location sharing that actually works. We are simple, we're fast, we're private, and we help people ask and answer the question, where are you? And I'm going to show what that looks like right now, so can we go to the Elmo? Okay, so our location sharing is as easy as that pop-up right there. So basically what you see on that pop-up is somebody's asking, where are you? You can hit ignore or you can hit reply. And I'm going to walk you through a live demo on 2 iPhones. So let's switch the phones right now. So this is Bob's phone, and Bob wants to know where Alice is. So Bob wants to know where Alice is. He hits one button. That sends an echo. So why don't we switch over to the other phone right now. So this is Alice's phone. And on Alice's phone, as you can see, it says Bob says, where are you? Okay, so that's very nice and straightforward. Hit the view button. A couple of seconds later, which the Wi-Fi is working very well today, we see a question from Bob. Bob says, where are you? Well, what do you want to do with that? Well, how about we click reply? So let's click reply. Now immediately we see 2 dots on a map. The blue dot, why don't we zoom out a little bit? The blue dot is you. The red dot should be popped up with a message. Why don't we do that? Remy, can you do that right there? No, that would be the other one. Okay, there we go. So we see how far away Bob is. We can call and text directly from the map with 1 click. So far, so good. Well, what have we done here? What we've done here is we've basically helped people ask and answer the question, where are you? What that means is think about how often you're sending the text message, where are you, and how annoying it is to respond to that. So we've done a private peer-to-peer location share with 2 clicks. There's no preference settings required in this kind of application whatsoever because you don't need any because you're always asked and you always get a chance to answer or ignore. Let's hit the meeting place button. We hit the meeting place button. What we see here is an overlay of 3 different categories we can do. Let's zoom out a little bit here. So we can see coffee shops or restaurants or bars. So let's say we want to meet at one of these places. So let's hit the select button. So we hit the select button. Now we've sent a meeting place suggestion to the other person. So let's switch to the other device for a second, see what that looks like. So now we have a meeting place suggestion from Alice. Let's lower that inbox. Okay, so zoom out a little bit so we can see what this is. So let's see, that's Mars Bar and Restaurant, and we can accept or we can discuss. So for the moment, we're going to accept. So let's hit accept. Oh, you already hit that? Okay. So now we flip it back to the other phone, and on the other phone, scroll that down a bit, see at the very top, it says, Bob has, I can't really see the screen. Oh, here we go. I can look at it there as well. Bob has accepted my meeting place, and so we're done. So if you think about it, let's say I was talking to Jason. What's the alternative? I text Jason, I say, where are you? He texts me back, and he goes, I'm here. And I go, okay, that's great. Do you want to have a coffee? Yeah, okay. Well, where do you want to have coffee? How about Starbucks? Well, which Starbucks? How about that one? No, how about that one? That's like 8, 9 text messages. Not very efficient. So we streamline that whole process, and we basically make the process of asking and answering the question, where are you, and arranging a meeting place done in 2 clicks.
Okay. Okay, the quickest way to find other people, Mark Pesci.
I haven't met a location-based social system that I haven't loved yet, but how are you going to get other people onto it? How are you going to get Jason onto it so we can meet up at South by Southwest or something?
It's a very good question. Well, for example, one easy answer to that is that when we launched the beta of this product in mid-November, we had 300,000 downloads in the space of about 3 weeks. To be honest, it scared the crap out of us because that kind of growth, when you're still at very early stages of a startup, is very interesting but also very challenging because you have scalability issues, you have funding issues. But the real answer is that this spreads virally because you can send an echo to anybody in your entire address book. This isn't really a new social network. I don't really want to join another social network. God knows I'm a member enough of them already. But I do know that every one of us carries a social network with us in our phones.
But if I don't have the app, when you send me the echo, what happens to the echo?
That's a very good question, Mark. At the moment, what happens is, you can send an echo. In fact, if we jump to the Elmo now for a second, I can just show you that really quickly.
Just answer the question.
Okay, so the simple answer to the question is you get a text message. At the moment right now, you get a nice funky pop-up which says, where are you? If you have the app. If you don't have the app, you get a text message which the install process takes approximately 45 to 60 seconds.
So this is the URL. I press the URL.
This URL, you press the URL, and you can install the app. Now, we are looking at an HTML5 experience. However, performance issues come into play. It's actually quite tricky to do a fun experience using HTML5 and maps.
Awesome. I love it. I mean, I think it's, you showed it to me down right over there. And at first, I'm like, yeah, I don't know. But the fact that it's people you know, and I would love it if I come into San Francisco, I could have like a bucket list of people that I want to meet, and I could just be like, sort of spam echo them, like the 5 guys or 5 people I want to meet, just boom. And they're like, yeah, I'm here, let's go for coffee. I'm like, great. I think it's great.
Cool.
Can you override the back and forth and just say, meet me at Starbucks?
Yes, you can. There's a very straightforward thing here. You have an automatic reply functionality. So for example, for really close friends, you can mark them as a favorite, in which case your phone will respond for you, even if it's in your pocket. Okay. Now, with regards to overriding meeting place suggestions, the key thing here is we're really focused on solving specific use case problems. Where are you is something that's extremely common, and we want to focus on, yeah, you can build in all kinds of group functionality and forced meetings, but at the end of the day, we're trying to stay away from that until we can clearly identify what the big problem is.
The reason I ask that is sometimes you have like a company party at Disney World, or you go on a ski trip with 5 friends, and you want to meet at the Longhorn Bar at Whistler, and you don't want to have the back and forth. You just want to say, hey, meet me at the Longhorn Bar after the lifts close.
Well, once you've established a friend relationship, in other words, a person is inside your Echo inbox, you can then send them a meeting place at any point. You don't have to wait for the where are you pairing to happen before you send the meeting place. So what you're suggesting, you can easily do already.
And how are you guys going to make money?
There's two easy ways to make money. One of them is not all that interesting. It's advertising. You can stick ads on a map. The CPMs for that are quite high. However, I don't really like what it does to the user experience. But lead generation on the meeting place suggestion is a really interesting opportunity. Yes, of course, if you're meeting your friends at, for the sake of argument, a particular coffee bean, I'm not going to suggest Starbucks immediately. However, the second and third and fourth places I suggest might well be Starbucks, depending on how much money Starbucks pays. So there's some very interesting opportunities there. There's also B2C opportunities for API licensing. I'll give you one example. I get off a plane in Paris with my Bank of America card. I can't buy a sandwich because Bank of America decides to lock my card. Kind of annoying. The reason they do that is they have no idea where I am. Well, for Bank of America to solve that problem, what they have to have is a global, simple, private way of asking where are you, and that's precisely what we've built. So B2C API access is something that we want to focus on.
You guys should merge with TripBod. It would actually be a really good combination.
Cool.
All right, let's thank Echo Echo.
Thank you very much.
Well done, well done, well done. Product is, now this one, this next one is awesome. I had these guys on this week in startups. ShoeFitter, are you there? ShoeFitter, ShoeFitter. This is the company that Zappos should buy. Everybody should tweet that right now. Hey, at Zappos, buy ShoeFitter.
All right.
I am not an investor. No, full disclosure, I'm not an investor yet. Okay, here we go.
I'm Nick with ShoeFitter. So ShoeFitter is software that helps online shoe shoppers figure out which size to get. Online internet retailers face a huge problem with high returns and also a customer base that's hesitant to shop online because they don't know how a shoe is going to fit when they order it. So ShoeFitter solves that problem using 3D imaging technology to scan the insides of shoes. We create this database of all these internal shoe measurements that are pertinent to fitting a shoe to someone's foot. So when you're shopping online and you find a shoe you want to buy, we ask you for the shoe and size you currently wear, and we compare those internal measurements to the one you want to buy and tell you what size to get and show you how it's going to fit. So this website you see here is runningwarehouse.com. They were our first client, and this is a standard product page you'd see on any internet retail site. To launch the application, you click this button. We had it preloaded for all our demos. But the first question ShoeFitter asks you is, what brand running shoe do you currently wear? So I know I wear a Saucony running shoe. I select that from the drop-down. ShoeFitter asks me for the name of my shoe. I happen to know that I wear the Tangent. I select that, and then ShoeFitter asks for the size. I know I'm a size 9.5 in a standard width D. That's actually a picture of the shoe I run in. I click Tell me my perfect fit, and now ShoeFitter compares the measurements of the shoe I'm wearing to the shoe I want to buy and recommends a size. So in this case, compared to my size 9.5, ShoeFitter recommends a size 10, and ShoeFitter shows the first of our two visual fitting interfaces. So this is a top-down two-dimensional view that shows the shoe I'm currently wearing in white compared to every size in the shoe I want to buy in blue. So I can scroll up and down and see how the sizes compare. So if I'm in a shoe that's a little too tight or a little too big, I can see what half size up or half size down might feel like. We also have our three-dimensional shoe, which is color-coded to indicate where the shoe I want to buy is going to be loose or tight compared to the shoe I'm wearing. In this interface, again, you can scroll up and down and see how the sizes compare. People who have bunions or blisters or pressure points in their shoe love this. They can move the shoe around and look to see if they have a certain spot that causes problems. They can look for a shoe that's either wider or smaller in that area. Now you might be wondering what happens if you don't know the name of the shoe you're wearing. ShoeFitter can still help you. You can either tell us the colors on your shoe. So as you saw, my shoe is red and white. Then ShoeFitter brings up a list of all the red and white Saucony shoes, and I can select my shoe and then proceed to the recommendation screen. Or you can enter the SKU number on the tag on your shoe. So as you saw, it was a Saucony shoe. This is a Saucony tag. I can enter the SKU number for that tag, and ShoeFitter matches the number to the shoe, and then I would proceed to the recommendation screen. Now we launched in June, and we've been tracking a number of different metrics with our first customer. Right now we're showing that we are reducing returns by about 25%, and once a customer receives a fitting recommendation from ShoeFitter, they become about 25% more likely to buy.
Can you do this for glasses?
Actually met a guy today who was talking about that same idea.
That would be awesome.
Amazon, buy this now.
This is brilliant.
Stop.
I love
buy.
it. So I got a couple of questions for you. So I wear shoes. I might be able to tell you if they're Nike, right? I can't tell you the exact model, right? I don't really know where my feet hurt or don't hurt, right? Don't have stuff to worry about. So this is like hardcore science fiction, really out there, crazy stuff for like hardcore shoe people.
Mm-hmm.
that aren't me probably, what's the market? How big is the market for this?
So the online footwear retail market is about $4.5 billion. Zappos is obviously a large part of that. For someone like yourself who isn't aware or like involved in the name of the shoe they're wearing, you can imagine what this would look like if we integrated with a retail website's buying history. So now when you go to Zappos, you don't have to tell us what shoe you've worn. We already know what shoe you've worn, and we can tell you what size to get in any other shoe you want to buy. This also opens the door for one-click purchasing. You don't have to tell us a size anymore. We can you just want to buy a shoe, and we'll send you the size that's going to fit. So this solves a huge problem for online retailers.
I think you're not just going to lower returns, you're also going to increase the propensity to purchase. And you should measure that somehow, because there are a lot of people who kick the tires on the shoes, but they're not necessarily going to buy them without the comfort and confidence. I mean, I'm in your target market because I have unusual feet, and this is perfect for me.
Yeah.
One thing to think about, though, is that long term, you're going to be in every shoe tailor. But your margins are going to be somewhat limited because what you basically have is an index of the shoes, and somebody else can come along for a certain cost and scan the same shoes and then offer the same inventory data, and you'll have a competition. So the real value will come if you capture lots of data on the users and you get to keep that, like a shoe wallet you can carry around from one e-tailer to another. If you can do that, you're a standalone primary franchise. If you can't, then you get acquired by someone.
We've actually discussed that idea, and the next version we're planning to release will elicit a shopper's personal fitting preferences. So we'll ask questions like, is your current shoe tight? Is it loose? We can then aggregate that data, and shoe companies would be very interested in knowing how their shoppers perceive the fit of their shoe.
Usually when I'm buying shoes, I'm in a store. I don't buy them on Zappos all the time. Does this work on a mobile phone? So I can actually look them up in the store?
Yeah, so if you tried to use the application on your iPhone or iPad, the 3D shoe is flashed, but everything else would work. So we haven't released an iPhone app yet, but that's something we intend to build.
You should do like a sort of like a tweet this after I buy the shoe. Like let's say I actually buy a shoe online for the first time ever, because obviously I haven't. But once I do, tweet this, and I send all my friends a scary freaking 3D model of the shoe I just bought that you can rotate in like real time, and like, this is my shoe. It's kind of
they'd
psycho.
mistake me for a Sasquatch.
Yeah.
Doesn't Zappos have enough shoes that they can, and enough repeat customers that they can say, for a high enough percentage of the customers, we know what you bought with your last shoes because you bought them from us, and we know how big they are because they're sitting in our warehouse side by side with these shoes you're looking at now? I mean, why do they need, how badly do they need your data?
So why do they need the 3D imaging technology? Are you asking if they could do this through collaborative filtering or something?
Well, they know how one shoe relates to another if they're in their own inventory, right?
Different shoes fit differently.
Yeah, that's the piece of data they're missing.
So there's a huge challenge in comparing one shoe and a specific size to another shoe in a specific size. So a lot of fitting algorithms for these manufacturers have different slopes. So while a shoe might be a half size larger at the higher end, like a 13 or 14, at a lower end size, like 6 and 7, it may be just one-to-one sizing.
Okay, why do they need you to tell them
let's
that?
get a final question here. Go ahead, Shervin.
I picked you as one of the 2 companies from LaunchPad, and I think it's super cool. So one piece of advice, everyone's saying, you know, Amazon buy this, you know, Zappos buy this. Just ignore all of that, because you have something really interesting here. Be patient, build it. You have a really interesting vision. I think you could build something very valuable as a service for people. So for a long time. So don't be too quick to listen to that.
Okay.
Unless it's 100 million, then sell.
All right. Yes.
Thanks a lot.
Okay, well done.
And improve the user experience to it. It needs to look better.
Okay.
Was that a joke? It looks gorgeous.
I mean, we skinned it. We skinned it to match running warehouse.
All right, so
as we moved
let's
to
bring up
retailers,
LinkPops. You got your time on stage. Let's go. Come on, next one.
Thank you.
Okay. My God, these entrepreneurs, they always want to get one more thing in. Okay, so LinkPops, are you ready? Okay, there you go, Tyler. This is a ringer. By the way, Tyler built something over the last couple of months and he wanted to show it.
Couple months?
Couple of days?
Couple of days.
Okay, so this is not in competition, but Tyler's been tirelessly working with me, so I said, if you want to launch something, you can. Go ahead, Tyler, you're the last one.
Okay.
Let's see your presenting skills.
Yeah, let's see how this goes. So I saw this article about Bing today doing innovation yet again. And this time they are adding your liked results So instead of getting 4 blue links, you get 4 blue links with your friends' faces next to the links that they have liked and shared on Facebook, which I think is very cool, actually. But wouldn't it be super cool if you could apply that to all the other websites that you go to? So here we are on BBC, and now as a browser extension, or alternatively as a JavaScript that a publisher could run, when I hover over any link, server, 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 or am I connected? I am connected, okay. So now I can see what people are saying about this link, and I have the option to connect my Twitter account in one easy click. And when I go back to that same page, or any other page I go to now, you'll notice, if you look closely, little icons appearing of my friends' faces, or people from my social graph, now appear next to the links that they have commented on or tweeted. So is that Ryan Block's icon? I think it is. So I'm going to hover over that one. And of course, this gives me more context as to which of these links I might be interested in. Sure enough, that is Ryan Block, and he has commented at me about this link. And there's Don Dodge, and I think that's Naval. Sure enough, it is. Who's over there? I think that's Jose. So when I hover over this link, he's talking about the cricket, and he loves cricket. Let me see. But sure enough, scrolling down more, I think there's Brian Alvey. This is called pandering to the judges.
It's a classic time-honored tradition.
And Brian has a very witty comment about Paul McCartney. So that's LinkPops. There's the patent. And there is LinkPops. Go ahead and sign up, and happy to hook you up with a browser extension.
Wow. The Jedi Master of presenting, 4 years of presenting has led to you being able to do an awesome presentation. How much is it going to cost? Who are you selling it to? Judges, what did you think?
So this one gets tried all the time, right? So there was Third Voice, there was dot spots, but the twist you have, which is really clever, is that you're using data that's already been generated on Twitter and mapping it through the link, as opposed to, instead of a chicken and egg, you just have a chicken problem. You got to get a few chickens to sign up by putting a JavaScript in the sites. But the eggs are there. They're all on Twitter, and they're all linked through. So that's very clever. It might actually work this time.
Thanks.
So finally, metadata you can use,
yes,
right? I mean,
the idea
no
is,
offense. It's like, hey, I'm building a metadata system on everything.
Yes.
Metadata on my hair. Oh, I don't have hair, but still, there's metadata on it. Here, I get it.
Yes.
Awesome.
Is this real time? Will it, if links are coming in, if something else, will it pop up automatically?
It would, yeah.
All right.
The idea is that Twitter now follows you wherever you're going.
How do you show the links? How do you change the page to show the links coming in real time?
No,
like
that's the BBC is the BBC. I'm not changing their links.
Okay.
But
so,
if you happen to tweet something while I'm on the BBC, your face would appear next to that link.
Got it.
But more importantly, it's more historical. So if I go, something you tweeted months ago now would appear, and it just provides more social context to the link.
So I'm not a lawyer, but I would be worried about defensibility. I mean, sure, you have the patent filing, but there's so much prior art here, combined with, this looks like one of those business method-y kind of patents, that I just wouldn't put a lot of stock in that, nor is there a rich history of startups suing other startups or larger companies to success. I mean, there are some, but not a lot. So how do you prevent other people from just creating thousands more of these?
Ninjas.
Ninjas.
Yes.
I like the answer ninjas.
Join us. In that case, if there are ninjas around, I retract my earlier comment.
Believe.
I like the fact that I don't even have to have any other chickens sign up. It would be immediately useful to me, even if no one else on earth used it.
Right. So one of the things for publishers like yourself is, you notice the AdSense or an ad unit that appears, which we could do rev share with publishers.
I think you're saying you can use a Chrome extension
as
a user
without as a user,
anyone else.
I
instant value.
No doubt.
Got made fun of for how many things we had thrown up on our site already earlier. We're not going to add more JavaScript, but as a user, individually, I'd love to.
So Jason and Tyler prep all the companies and like train them on like how to be better presenters. And
correct.
So I've got to say, right now you're about a 5.
Okay.
And I think, when you come back tomorrow, I'll give you a couple pointers. Maybe be a 7 or an 8.
Yes.
Okay. And you present again tomorrow. So the best thing actually in all this, because I think it's interesting and pandering to the judges is cute. But there's always, you gotta have like that one moment, and there was a couple things, the E event, they had and it was so popular, we had to build a waiting list feature. And you're like, that kind of sticks with you, like, oh, so I didn't really care about you up until you said that. And you're like, oh, damn, there might actually be something cool there. Somebody might want to invest in it, some smell of success, a little hint of it, right? And I think, you know, there's one that signed a contract on stage a couple
Yeah,
of
that
events
was a couple of years ago,
with
yeah.
their like Town 311, you know, thing. And so flashing a patent, that's pretty cool, you know. So you gotta have like one of those moments. I think flashing a patent's a good one.
Just any random patent would be.
No, he doesn't have a patent.
Here's a
It's
patent
just,
for a
here's
buggy
patent.
system.
You saw it was like
with
30
horses.
30 milliseconds.
Yeah.
And then off. So good job.
Are you going to have a tech meme competitor that comes out of this, where we can go to one feed?
You're actually, as usual, intuiting the kind of idea that you could now have what I call a Pops page, and based on my social graph, I could see the most commonly tweeted links. So it's your own personal tech meme. Exactly.
And this is how I lose my #1 team member employee. Well done, Tyler. Is anybody going to invest? Can I close the deal here right now? No? Okay. All right.
We're not looking for investors. We're looking for acquirers. So.
Oh, okay. This is a quick flip. I like it. Who wants the patent?
Where's Don Dodge?
It feels like Twitter should buy this now.
This is how Google gets
before
into
Facebook
social,
does.
right?
Okay, you had a Shervin. You have a final comment?
Talked about this last night. It's just
Yes.
the whole like Shervin News Network.
Shervin, as usual, got a sneak preview at the W bar last night.
Robert actually, mentioned part of it, but the idea of actually having a page that's not the BBC, but is an aggregated presentation of what your network thinks is interesting, and then adding clout in there and people rank and having that move up and down is really big. And the final thing is call it pop links, please. That would be
awesome.
Pop
Well, let's hear it for Tyler Crowley. Well done. Getting in on it. Wow. You will get the Launch Award for Best Presentation by a Staff Member. Okay, grand jury. TripBod, Fluid Info, E-Event, Echo, ShoeFitter, LinkPops. Which was your favorite? Which one did you absolutely love? Which one would you want to invest in? Go vote for, own 1% of. Answer the question however you like. Most likely to post on AngelList, most likely to write a feature story on Read Write Web, most likely to call to redesign their website, Jose. Adeo, most likely to have as a speaker at the Founders Institute, Mark. Most likely to be a consulting client, Robert. Most likely to create a 187-minute video about saying it's going to kill Google.
Well, the 180-minute video is the Fluid Info database. When you really get into that and see all the use cases it could be used for, I think it answers all the questions that Adeo wants to have answered. It takes a while for you to really understand what it could be used for. And I've already done a 180-minute video with him, visited him in his house in Barcelona.
So Fluid Info is your pick? Anybody else have a pick? Naval, what did you like?
I like Echo. I thought it, and followed by ShoeFit. Echo. I mean, it's just practical, right? I got friends. I'm in San Francisco. I want to go meet them, and it's just a pain in the ass. So if they can make a little thing that I'm in San Francisco, click a button, and boom, 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 they all know I'm here. Let's meet at Starbucks.
Feels like it could be built into the
handset. It's not a billion-dollar
handset.
company, but I like it. It's
That's
simple.
the most likely I'm going to use.
Yeah.
What if it was built into a map program, like built into Google Maps, built into a handset? It would be phenomenal.
Yeah, I mean,
They should license
simple,
it to
was
anybody
nice,
who wants
I would use it. And ShoeFit, I mean, I also have unusual feet. I don't know what that means in your case, Naval. I don't know if I do want to know, but
no,
yeah.
you don't show the feet.
That's it. It's big,
No.
man.
Holy mother of God!
All right, I don't have battleships,
anyway,
but
it's. I could totally see this being acquired here today by Amazon for a lot of money.
Okay, Naval, which was your favorite?
I think ShoeFitter is a clear fit. Easy to make money. I think even be a primary standalone business if they gather the user data properly.
I agree.
And I really want Fluid Info to succeed. And I think it's either going to be a part of Google or Amazon as a simple metadata service someday, or it'll be an open part of the web as an open protocol.
I felt ShoeFitter had the most soul.
So
Brian.
So
Dave McClure, right?
So in every single one of these companies, you look at each of them and you say there's something major they're missing. They're just not there yet. I mean, I'd say that about every one of them. I mean, seriously, like Echo. So some of them could be, like you said, a feature. Stick Echo on top of a map thing I already have. I'll use it. Make me download an app. I'm not going to use it. the shoe fitting thing. Put it on top of a store I'm already at or something like that. I think the only one that's actually, and TripBod is an add-on to a hotel and an airplane or a train or something, and then boom, I get there and there's a little package for a tourist thing. Even LinkPops is kind of just an add-on to an overlay of Twitter. Why isn't Twitter doing this? What is that actual patent, right? So the only one that to me is a company and a business and a standalone thing is Fluid Info, and I think all they're missing is a gorgeous CMS interface. So I've already emailed Terry.
Awesome. Well done.
I'll do it.
You have a Mark.
There's two. Fluid Info is completely insane, but it's my kind of insane because it attempts to be the database for everything, and we need that. And so that's a good thing, but yes, it needs a really good interface, but it's also going to need the combined effort of everyone on Earth tagging absolutely everything, and then it works. Now, TripBod I actually really like because we've gotten to this point with all of our tech that we've made everything so smooth that we've disintermediated absolutely every human being out of every equation. And this is now re-intermediating. It's bringing people back into the loop because all of a sudden we've realized our travel's a little too sterile.
Yeah, I just don't know about TripBod though, because on Quora there's dozens of answers already for Paris. On TripBod there's not. And Quora is not even
an answer you're looking for. You're looking for a person.
There is a use.
That's the difference.
Quora has people and has
Quora has answers.
I thought you hated Quora. What's going on?
There is a use. The use is for
Once again, I've lost control of the
high
conference.
net worth individuals.
I'm just gonna
I
let
own an
this
art
keep
gallery
going.
in LA.
It's pretty
They
good,
would love to have somebody give them a tour of art galleries of specific vertical topics. But you have to have some net worth to really, really want that. You were right about.
Okay, who hasn't picked a favorite yet? Marshall and Jose. Give us your favorites.
So I really hope that Fluid Info or something like it is going to change the world. And Terry doesn't talk about it, but he's got a really impressive list of early investors already. Esther Dyson,
yeah.
BetaWorks, Chris Dixon, Joshua Schechter.
Tim O'Reilly.
And those folks are hopefully going to chip in more than just the money, as they say. And I hope that you can pull
Fluid
off
Info.
such a crazy.
Naval, you can attest to the fact that your angel investors determine your success, correct? Statistically?
I'm sorry? I couldn't hear.
Statistically, your angel investors are the biggest determinant of your success, right?
Has nothing to do with it.
Exactly. Jose.
I really like TripBod, even though I think it does have to have a specific niche. Echo, I really like the logo. I really like the service. I get lost all the time. I have a hard time finding people. I lost my phone yesterday. But e-events I really like because I can see myself using it. I just happen to do events. You happen to do events. Smart. Gamification is really going to start changing things if it's really fluid, and not fluid because I didn't really get it, but maybe some visuals will help. That's my thought on that, on e-events.
So how did, Jose, how did you not like the Fluid Info logo? It had 2 ligatures. who the hell else in technology has 2 ligatures? Are you
They have 4. Gadget has 4.
Those aren't ligatures.
Yeah, they have ligatures.
Really?
Okay.
Yeah.
We've now gone down the design black hole.
The design wonk.
Exactly. Let's thank our grand jury for all the hard work. Robert, Scoble, Mark Heshy, Adeo, Jose, Marshall, Naval, Brian, Alvey. Now I'm going to ask my grand jury to go behind the stage. We're going to caucus for half an hour and pick the winners. At 6, there's drinks out there. There's drinks here. There's drinks out there and food out there. Everybody go have drinks. Get your drink on. And then we're going to announce the winners in about half an hour, 45 minutes. Let's hear it once again for all the companies and for all the great judges.